I'm gonna get back when I feel like, when I feel like, when I feel like, when I feel get back when I feel like.
Vinny, fantastic to have you finally on the studio. Thanks for being here after your long days in the commentary box. Just like to know, what are some of your first memories of cricket?
Thanks, Daniel. It's great to be here. I'm really excited with the opportunity to hear so many stories. So now, obviously, to be a part of it. Look, my first cricket memory actually is learning about cricket myself. And rather than having a family background in cricket, or rather than having friends that were interested in cricket then got me involved, I actually read it in a book. So every week at my school, you would go to the library, you would choose a book, and you'd keep it for the week and you'd read it. So I remember quite vividly being 7 years of age, going to section 796, because I started being interested in sports, and reading a book about cricket. And it was kind of the basics, how to play, also a few little practice games you could play to improve your skills. And then I was hooked. And then every week I'd get out another cricket book and another cricket book. And before so long, I was playing, the plastic bats, the plastic balls, and then progressing through the junior system that way.
Wow. So were you playing with the club or with your school?
Yeah, so I bought both. My parents were really supportive. My dad, although he is of Indian heritage, but he was born in Malaysia, so not really a big cricket playing country. So I kind of had to teach him to bowl rather than him teaching me to bowl, like most dads would do in Australia, I suppose. But yeah, they got me involved just in the local club with the junior cricket program, probably about 8 years of age. And yeah, these kind of modified games. It's called Kanga cricket in those days. And I still remember hitting my first six. I remember that feeling of doing that. I remember just being crazy about it and playing with my little brothers or playing by myself, finding ways to play against the wall, using some of these games which I'd learnt, playing test matches on the wall against myself where I'd throw and hit the ball, and I'd have quite advanced scoring systems. I was a proper cricket nerd really when I think of it. But then kind of progressing at school, you had to pick a summer sport and a winter sport. Obviously I picked cricket, and that was around 9 years of age, playing for my local club, and then progressing through that to the kind of the district situation, some kind of junior state squads as well. So that was my cricketing journey growing up.
What was the name of the first club?
So the first club I played for was City Beach, and big rivals with Wembley Downs. This is in Perth suburbs. And would you believe it? Like, I would end up playing with a lot of those guys, obviously, because you came under the same district. But we had some huge rivalries in those days. But then a few years later, just because of demographics and a few other things, those clubs would merge. So I still proudly have my first City Beach cap, because I was kind of inspired by the baggy greens of Australia. Obviously, I started watching a lot of cricket on TV around this time. This is the late 80s. And yeah, I've still got that cap to this day. It was red. Now it's more of a pink. But yeah, that's something that I'll treasure forever.
And then you got into indoor cricket?
I did. I was quite late getting into indoor cricket. So I had some friends that had played indoor cricket, which I normally describe it to people that aren't familiar with it as, it's kind of like what squash is to tennis. It's the same but different. It's the same concept, but a few different skills are required, but the basics are the same. And so I got into that at around 18 years of age. And by this time, I'd really gotten interested in wicket keeping through my teens. Started off as a bowler, actually, that batted a bit, but I really got interested in wicket keeping. So indoor cricket was a great way to practice wicket keeping in some pretty crazy situations, because you're always up to the stumps. And yeah, I found I really enjoyed indoor cricket. Within a year, I was in the state team and ended up playing in the national championships in Australia for 20 years. So it was a bit of an initiation, indoor cricket, but in those days, there was a little bit of a, not everyone in the cricket community accepted indoor cricket because they felt maybe it'll ruin your technique or all these things. But to me, it was a bit like playing tennis versus table tennis. You know, they're kind of different. I quite enjoyed playing both. And the beauty about indoor cricket was that you're kind of always in the game. You know, there's not too much sitting on the sidelines. You know, you're in there, you can try stuff. There's no real overthrows. So you can try crazy flicks if you're keeping, and you can just try all sorts of things. So obviously playing indoor cricket at a high level kind of really hones your decision making. And I actually find the games that we play these days, these 10 over games, they have quite a lot in common with this indoor cricket. There was 16 overs, it was really fast paced, and you had to think on your feet.
Yeah, and a big shout out and thank you to Peter Lewis, because it was because of Louis that I got involved in indoor cricket, and that's how I met you. Yeah,
that's right. Peter Lewis, obviously playing at the Bayswater Morley Club in those days. got you into indoor cricket. We ended up playing together. I think that's when literally was my first season of indoor cricket. I think I was 18, you were 16 back then. I remember we won the premiership, and there's still a photo floating around somewhere of this, and it's quite incredible that we'd reconnect after a long time and embark on this crazy European cricket adventure.
It is. So then from there, I'll just tell a little story about, us playing and really enjoying those indoor cricket days. And then I've decided to move off to Europe. And then we, disconnected for maybe 10, 15 years. And then there's cricket on ice in Switzerland.
Yeah.
You see cricket on ice in Switzerland from Facebook. I'm there at the restaurant the night before cricket on ice starts, having dinner with James Cantor. And then all of a sudden, Vinny Sandhu walks into the restaurant. I said, Vinny, and you say, well, Westy, and we caught up at that moment in the restaurant. I said, what are you doing here? You had seen cricket on ice on social media, right?
Yeah, well, what happened was I was doing a bit of work in Zurich, so I kind of became aware of cricket on ice, and through a few people, ended up getting offered a spot with St. Moritz Cricket Club and Chris Lodge, who is actually here for this tournament with the Swiss team. And so, I just thought it was such a great way to do something crazy. I'd heard of it. I thought this is going to be amazing.
Well, it's minus 14 on the frozen lake of St. Moritz.
Yeah.
Then you asked me what we're doing there.
Yeah.
And we said, well, we're live streaming it. And then you said, oh, do you need a commentator?
Yeah.
And then in our kit bag the next day, we didn't plan on having a commentator, but you've said you'd commentate for us. We put in the batteries to the mic, and then you walked around the frozen lake of St. Moritz for 5 hours commentating those matches. Yeah. And that was the first moment that we thought, wow.
It was crazy. I mean, we always remember this story differently. I remember you asking me if I wanted to. I probably would have volunteered. It sounds about right. But regardless, I mean, it turned out to be such a great partnership, didn't it? I loved the idea of commentating something that's completely different. So I had a lot of hosting experience. Obviously had a lot of cricket experience by this point, having played in the grade system in Australia for so long, and obviously being a cricket nut since I was 7 years of age. Cricket on ice became, I suppose before too long, the European Cricket League happening a little bit later as far as what the ECN were broadcasting, and that's when things really took off. But I mean, that cricket on ice, it was something completely different. There's still pictures of, rugged up, minus 14 in 7 or 8 or 9 layers.
And but wearing running shoes because we're playing cricket, and then the huge jacket. And I can still remember it in my mind because it was a wireless mic, and you were wandering around watching the game and commentating it beautifully while this stream was going on.
Yeah, it was fun, wasn't it? We weren't thinking too much in those days, except for we're having a bit of fun. Obviously, there were bigger things planned, but that was a great opportunity, obviously, for ECN to suppose see where they're at with production at those stages. Yeah. It's very memorable. And what a place as well, St. Moritz. I've been to some crazy places now to see cricket all around Europe and things, but that St. Moritz is, when people ask me the most unique cricket ground I've been to, it's got to be that one.
That's the one. And so it was actually German Cricket TV.
Yeah.
And then it was after that year that then the idea of the European Cricket League was starting, and then we discussed it again. You were living in Australia, come across to this ECL, and how did you feel, in those first matches of the ECL with that production and with that scaffolding and that moment? How did it feel to you?
Yeah, it was pretty surreal, a bit like everyone else would probably agree, that we turned what was normally quite a nice ground, but a fairly run-of-the-mill ground into this huge operation with music and spectator tents and player areas and these big scaffoldings. Players getting flown in from all around Europe. It was quite a crazy concept, and it all seemed to happen so quickly. I just remember it was 3 days that was so intense, and no one could really train for it. So we learned a lot on the ground in those first 3 days. But I just remember everyone being completely exhausted at the end of these 3 days. And now sometimes I look back about 4 years later and I think, well, that's just regular 3 days for us now, because you kind of get quite match fit for it. But at that time, and I was only doing half the matches as well back then, but we had such a great mix of characters there, really committed people that were enthusiastic about growing the game and making it as exciting as possible. And I suppose that's a real spark that kicked all this off.
Absolutely, and then obviously the moment with Cluj and Pavel Florin, that was just a completely unplanned moment, which was just breathtaking in the way it sort of took T10 for the run rates that were happening that day, and then Pavel's story as a new cricketer in Europe, It was, yeah. How do you recollect that?
Yeah, I just remember it's the first time I really saw anything go viral. And so the media centre there in 2019, and no one really planned this. But it's also the first indication that no one was really sure what this was, probably including us. You know, a lot of these things were accidents. The fact it was 10 over cricket, not 20 over cricket. The fact that the boundaries were in so far. These were practicalities for those 3 days. These weren't kind of strategic decisions that we made. But yeah, the cricket fraternity took notice in that moment. And obviously Pavel's become a great cult figure and a great friend as well, actually, over the last few years. But to see that happen, and also it kind of kicked off this kind of relationship with the rest of the cricket world, which is, it's not a bad relationship, but I often say that on the cricket pyramid, you know, if you've got kind of test cricket up here, you know, one-day internationals and T20s and first-class cricket and all these things here, right down to your village cricket, that might be there, but we're kind of over here somewhere. You know, this is how I feel about it anyway, because you can't really compare us to anything. You'll see guys who have scored 20 first-class centuries playing in the same team as guys that are maybe playing their first or second game of cricket. That's the beauty of European cricket. It's unique. It can't be replicated in any way. And so I think over time, I think the cricket community has stopped kind of judging and started just enjoying and appreciating what we are, which is something very, very different.
Yeah, we're all cricket lovers, and the players that are playing are cricket lovers as well. So it is new, it is uncomfortable at times because it is a new form of cricket, but
Sure.
we want to make entertainment, and you bring lots of that.
And also it is with great respect to the game of cricket as well. You know, obviously some of the dynamics in our cricket are a little bit different. Things like the run rates, the wicket rates even. People talk about lots of runs being scored. We have a wicket taken on average every 10 balls in European cricket. We have a 6 hit every 5 balls in this tournament. So where are you going to see that anywhere else? So it is with great respect to the origins of the game and the evolution of the game that we take on this responsibility. And one thing that I always am thinking is cricket and everything really is constantly changing. So people tend to think of traditional cricket as what they grew up with or what they're used to. But if you go back further, if you go back 100 years, if you go back 300 or 400 years with cricket, I mean, the real traditionalists, they're rolling the ball along the ground, they're hitting it with this hockey stick kind of thing. And yeah, you're protecting the popping creases. That's where you used to pop your bat in because that's what you're trying to protect. So look, the game's changing. I don't think there's anything to be worried about because there's a kind of survival of the fittest, I think, with formats and concepts that if people like it, it will stay. If not, it won't stay. And that's always going to be the case. People will make the decision. So I'm really excited to offer something to cricket lovers that I know they won't see anywhere else and they can't see anywhere else.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And I mean, now and today is such a key role of the media team and commentary and putting this whole package and product together with us. But after the ECL 19, obviously you went home, and then we had some plans for the next ECL.
Yeah.
Then Corona came in, and then you're actually working from Australia to try and help promote what we did. Then once Corona gave some sort of entry or exit point for you to come to Europe and be involved with it, now you're essentially, you go back and see your family, which is very important, and hopefully your family comes and sees you over here.
Yeah.
But essentially you're on the road promoting cricket in Europe on a daily basis for the whole year now.
Yeah, I mean, there was always some travel involved with me going between Australia and Europe, and that had been happening for a few years, just with some other responsibilities that I had and other interests. But yeah, the decision to kind of relocate, if you like, to the travelling adventure that is European cricket, that was the start of 2021, and I spoke long and hard to my family and friends about this, because I would kind of banking on 1 or 2 weeks a year. When the ECL happens, or when the major tournament happens, I can come over and do that, and maybe 1 or 2 others, but we never envisioned really cricket every day, which is what it's become. So look, I enjoyed working remotely, but also when the opportunity came up and when it was practical, I really felt I could offer something to it day to day at the venue, at the ground, to improve the product, and hopefully that shows how much we've improved, not just because of me, because of the wonderful team around me and you and all of us here, which are bringing something different. But I think one thing I love to do is watch a game from a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and just see how far we've come. And at the moment, I'm very, very proud of it. I also think, we're at the stage now we're talking incremental improvements because we've got it to a place where we are really, really happy with it. But obviously, I'll keep striving to to make it better and to make it all that it can be.
Yeah, no, you absolutely do that. And what we want to do is make it the best day of a cricketer's life every day. So it's with yourself and the respect that we want to give the players and the game and all the crew from the ECN. You know, when a player walks out to play and they get the chance to do their very, very best with the stream, with the broadcast, we want to give them the best day of their cricketing lives. Let them express themselves and do what they do in front of their friends and family and that huge audience that makes them play better and get better for next year.
Yeah, well, let me tell you something. I mean, I've talked to cricketers from Bulgaria. I've talked to cricketers from England. They've both had that experience. Okay, just picking two countries at random. But I went and I spent a weekend with the guys at Hornchurch in England, the ECL runners-up this year in 2023, and they invited me to be a part of their charity day and their sponsors day, and it was wonderful to be their guest and to hear their stories. And some of these guys, they've been playing for this club for 35 years. And since they were 7 or 8 years old, the age I was when I started playing, and they said it was their best time they'd ever had in cricket this time. And these guys have played their whole lives, you know, and so this idea that it might just be for people that are fairly new to the game or breaking through in a country that it's not that established, that is true as well, because then you speak to the Bulgarian guys as well. You know, I've got a lot of friends all over Europe, and they'll say the same thing. You know, they're really appreciative of the opportunity and just the way it's so professionally run now. I think if you do anything 3,000 plus times, you're going to get really good at it. So obviously doing it day in, day out, it's very systematic, it's very organised. And what you just said there, I think applies equally to those people that are very experienced cricketers or people that are just picking up the game. Luca Petre for Romania last week, getting his first international wicket, for example, was a highlight. But I think one thing that we really strive to be is inclusive. And so that includes, you know, ages, genders, abilities, geographies, ethnicities, everything. And we want to provide everyone that platform and that experience. And the fact that we've done that to literally thousands of cricketers, I think, is probably our biggest achievement.
Yeah, no, you've summed it up perfectly, Vinny. I think that for one of probably my most special memory of our relationship and of the ECL 19 moment was when the power went out. Yeah. Because we had these LED boards, and every time they went from black to white, they put a big surge on the power.
Yeah.
The power went out. There was no more audio left apart from your microphone. And then you've been told, you know, you've got 40 seconds here to wrap it up. And the way you wrapped it up that day will always live in my heart.
Because, You're taking me back now.
It's committed cricketers, you know, with their clubs and their federations and their countries, striving to be the best players they can ever be. You know, and that's really special the way you sum that up. And I think, you know, that spirit comes with me, and we work together for the future.
Oh, Daniel, you know, come in, bring it in here.
Well done, mate. Thank you.
Thank you, my man.
Right.
Look, let me just tell you something just quickly about that moment, though, and that was that the power went out. Of course, this is the first major tournament we'd ever done. So there were times where the power would go out or the scoreboard wouldn't add up, and, you know, and this is crazy because this is a broadcast going to many, many countries and millions of people. But of course, you know, we were fairly new. We'd probably bitten off more than we could chew, but I mean, the fact that led to what we've created now is quite amazing. But the power went out, and to be honest, I was up there with Phil Bachstadt of Germany, and we just didn't expect it to come back on. So I actually really enjoyed it. I watched the whole trophy ceremony from the commentary box and the confetti going everywhere. And I was just sitting back, and that was my moment to kind of stop talking and listen and take in the sights and their sounds and everything. So when unexpectedly the power went back on to our kind of module for 40 seconds or something like that, I suppose you just speak from the heart, and it's something that I genuinely believe in for me. It's not just a job, it's a lifestyle, it's a responsibility that now I've taken on, that I'm owning with the help of those around me. And we're so lucky to have picked up more and more people in our commentary team. I've got Rico, we've got Corey here, but there's others, you know, Charlie, Nish, Ujwal, and plenty more that have come through. Joe Regasani, for example. I won't mention everyone, but
Rhino.
But yeah, Rhino, of course. Rhino's been great. Actually, he's been around for a while now. But I really just think that the people involved, they stay involved because they care about it. And I think that comes through. And I think it's not just a job, it's a lifestyle if you're going to be part of the Blue Crew or be part of European cricket. And that's one thing that I really love about this organisation. And I suppose it takes a while maybe to understand that if you're new to seeing it, if you think it might just be a Mickey Mouse pop-up thing here and there. But the truth is, we are doing this all the time. We love doing it, we'll keep doing it. And really, I've got to say thanks to you for planting the seed that's grown into what is now quite an incredible network of people, places, and entertainment. And so, yeah, big thanks has to go to you, Daniel, as well.
Thanks. Yeah, the European Cricket Network. You know, it's a digital network. It's a network of TV broadcasts, but it's a network of people, clubs, communities, and cricketers, and that's why it's called the ECN. You're a huge part of it, Vinny, and thank you so much. Okay.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks again. Thank you.